Hi, Ellie Glazer here with key six of the seven Solvay keys to unlock your blocks and develop the foundation for long-term success. We're up to clarity is key. So the word clarity, as you probably figured out by now, this word ranks among the highest entries in the Solvay dictionary. It should be indelibly etched in our mental hard drive. We can't leave home without it. So like just when you're traveling to Paris, we're literally tongue-tied and basically immobile without our pocket-sized English-French translation guide or nowadays the vocabulary app on our mobile device. So too, when we enter any challenging food environment, our success is severely handicapped if we don't have a firm hold on our clarity. It's the sweatband around our wrists that keeps us from losing our grip, and across our forehead that keeps the perspiration from flooding our eyes. It's our pocket umbrella that keeps us from getting wet in a sudden storm. Because when it comes to our propensity to pardon a piece of pecan pie, there's always a forecast for rain in our brain. Now think about it for a second. Let's compare and contrast the thoughts that occupy our headspace before and after taking that first forbidden bite. We'll call it the forethought and the afterthought. The forethought is the mental gymnastics we so eloquently execute to excuse the eclair. Our aptitude to appease our conscience and cloud our clarity when confronted with a can of caramel corn is incredible. We lose our sight of sound judgment and let our lucidity lapse through our slippery fingers. Now, as we saw in the previous key of the disease of tomorrow, we can formulate any number of valid reasons to rationalize our momentary desire. It's okay, just this time. I'll be fine. It's so delicious. I have to taste just one. I mean, what's the big deal anyway? That's what we call the forethought. But how do we feel afterwards? No sooner do we polish off the last bite than we're pained with the somber reality that it wasn't okay. I didn't need to eat that. I would have been fine without it. I can't believe I did it again. So those two thoughts, my friends, are diametrically opposed. They're not 179 degrees apart. They're 180 degrees opposite. One is demonstrably true and one is fundamentally false. Care to guess which is which? You got it. The afterthought is the objective reality, while the forethought is the subjective justification. So here's the million-dollar question. How do we maintain the clarity of the afterthought at the time of the forethought? And thus we're introduced to the next of the seven Solvay keys, aptly named the clarity list. It's a simple document that could simply spell the difference between success and failure, consequences and benefits. By creating a chart and populating these two columns, we give ourselves the ability to see clearly and stay in our lane when the rain begins to fog our windshield and reduce our visibility. Now, we've all had those, what I call 2 in the morning moments, We're lying in bed and staring at the ceiling, saturated with the sober certainty of how our unhealthy eating habits have affected our lives. We're done for the day trying to fool others or even ourselves. No more games, no more excuses, just alone in our bedroom. We possess that ultimate clarity that as good as the chocolate cake tastes, it's just not worth it. Whereas when it was on our plate, our vision was locked into the confines of those 4 square inches of fudge-covered cake. Now we can see beyond the last bite and all the crumbs of crummy consequences that predictably trail behind. Now, the sincerity of this insight that we're having now may energize us enough, but it often doesn't propel us beyond the next few days or not even the next couple of waking hours, where we find ourselves once again confounded, confused, and quickly copping to the cupcakes. What happened to our clarity of the consequences? The brilliance of that light lasted as long as the lightning bolt. And our mistake was relying on that flash of light to change us instead of merely showing us direction. Because, my friends, we have to take the steps. And that starts with capturing that clarity and housing it in our handheld flashlight, which we need to manually turn on and illuminate our path each day. Because when it comes to our relationship with food, our honesty power plant often suffers random blackouts.